All right, what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo sports talk and more. I'm your host, Patrick Moran. Thank you, as always, for locking in, whether you're listening to this on the audio side, whether you're watching this on the video side, which if you are, there's a good chance you actually are watching this live because we are recording this live maybe a half hour or so after the Buffalo Bills had, I don't know if it was their best win of the season, but it certainly was their best game in quite a long time. A convincing 32-6 victory over the New York Jets, a game that the Bills badly needed. Most points the Jets have allowed all season long, by the way. Join here, weekly visit as always by Tone Pucks. What's going on, man? What kind of mood are you in after this game? By the way, we made it a point because we do this too often to kind of we talk about everything we're going to talk about on the show ahead of time, but we didn't really do that this week. So I literally don't know what your mindset is with this game and just generally speaking right now. How you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm happy about the game. I'm happy about the manner in which they did it, convincing fashion, big plays on offense. Seeing some designed plays that are clear W's by virtue of the play call, like, just kind of a roundabout way of saying that Joe Brady made some good calls today and was impressive. And just very conflicted on how I feel about it happening when it did, with the very daunting schedule that that lies ahead. If I'm all for not minimizing these results. I can get on board with the idea that we may have found something on offense. We may have found our play caller on offense. But damn, man, it's just it's not going to change the likely the spreads or the expectations or whether or not you're favored over the course of the next couple weeks. We're going to be dogs for the next couple weeks. It hasn't happened too much to this team over the course of the past few years. And it's not like just 1 or 2 point dogs. It's Super Bowl caliber teams in their house the next 2 weeks.
Sure.
How can you feel like we're going to go get one of those? I just don't. I just can't get there. No matter how I can get to a place of optimism from today, but I can't get to a place that sees us anything other than 6 and 7 in a few weeks, with the optimism maybe towards being able to run the table at that point, might be a little more realistic than being able to go get, either of these next two. I can't get there yet.
I understand that it is conflicting right now. You say that word, and I agree with you. How we feel, I think it's going to be very much so amongst fans as well. Even in the just first 3 minutes or so of this podcast. Which again, if you're watching this on the video side, we're recording this live. One fan is talking about getting rid of Dorsey is the right move. Go Bills. You can see the excitement, and then conversely, another fan says the Bills still suck. Don't let this mediocre win try and change that.
Hold on a minute. Who'd you just read?
It was Kevin Hewitt. Not surprising to you, apparently, huh?
He's a big Steeler fan. He's just trolling and shit.
Right.
A buddy of mine just trolling. But good to see you out there, Kev. All right.
It's
fuck your team too. Your team fucking blows.
It's tough to the difference between this game specifically and being excited about how the Bills looked on both sides of the ball this game versus what's ahead in the big picture. But let's start with this game. I mean, let's not blow it off. And you said you potentially could get on board. This was a dominating victory for the Bills. One, quite frankly, I think came a week too late. I mean, that's the kind of game I wanted to see last Monday night against Denver. But both sides of the football. And for me, it's like this, all right? When it comes to the Jets, If it's defense you're talking about and the defense playing great, to me, that's not a big deal. And I don't want to read too much into the defense because the Jets offense is like near historically bad. They went 40 straight touchdowns or drives without a touchdown until late in the first half in this game. So if you're looking at it from that aspect, I'm not really that impressed. But the offense, what they did against a Jets defense that has been elite all season long and just historically has stymied Josh Allen pretty much since he came into this league. This was a very encouraging performance by the offense. Josh Allen, 20 of 32. Let me run a couple numbers by you. I actually took the time to write these down. Josh Allen, 20 of 32, 275, 3 touchdowns, and an interception that, frankly, it's ridiculous that even counts on the stat sheet. It was a Hail Mary at the end of the first half. Ty Johnson, 28-yard touchdown catch. We'll talk about him in a few. Shakir, an 81-yard touchdown catch. The Bills ran for 130 yards, 38 carries. They ran the ball 38 times. That's like a Sean McDermott wet dream right there. 38 times they ran the football. Like I said, Shakir, 3 catches, $115. Stephon Diggs had a quiet day. Gabe Davis literally didn't do a thing. He didn't even get a pass thrown his way. But let's start with how impressed are you with the offense, even if it's just one game against, again, a defense that's very good. I think that is encouraging. The defense just beat a really shitty offense, but the offense to me, I mean, I'm definitely, I'm encouraged. Joe Brady's first game too. No small deal there.
No, I liked a lot of it on that side of the ball. I liked. You said let's jump to Ty Johnson. I don't know when you were going to get to him, but I'm ready to jump to Ty Johnson.
A lot of people not happy that he was active today. I can tell you that right now, just from the temperature on Twitter, and I kind of was one of them, to be completely honest with you. I was annoyed that Leonard Fournette. I bitched about the Bills getting in-season additions and them just never seeming to contribute. It takes forever, whereas other teams, guys go to new teams and they're right out there playing that week.
It was like
good move, but I was one of them.
To be unhappy about Ty Johnson being active instead of Fournette, and Ty Johnson doing nothing more than what he's done the past few weeks, and that's in the return game. Then I could see itching for Fournette and wondering why this guy's not getting on the field. But what I found very interesting was that Joe Brady clearly had a plan for him.
Sure.
He caught a couple balls that were clearly designed to be passes to the running back.
What a call on 4th down.
Big, and before that, he had one already that I think, resulted in a first down. It may have been a well-designed run that resulted in a first down, but whatever be the case, he got an opportunity this week, and you can only deduce that opportunity was a product of the change at the top, right?
Sure, I agree.
Johnson got the opportunity because Brady saw some sort of usage for him that that he could build into a game plan. That shit's huge, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. It that, along with the motion, which we will, I'm sure, see as the days, the next couple of days play out, and some of the more advanced stats are reviewed and things like that. The motion and the use of Ty Johnson in the offense are two of the biggies for me. I mean, we had a couple of the Josh designed runs. I think draw only, no like RPO,
no
stuff,
power sweeps either.
Just draw only. But we saw a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
We saw some explosiveness in the Shakir touchdown, but I'm not sure that may not have just been a product of the fact that the Jets defense, this seemed to be the game where the Jets defense eventually said, "Oh my God,
our offense, what the fuck?
What the fuck are we doing here?"
Right.
So, those things, I'm not sure of the sustainability of them, but the intellectual aspect of it to make a personnel decision in Ty Johnson and to make a strategic pre-snap seemingly committed decision. We'll see when the numbers come out. I'm sure someone will have, number of times that we went in motion. You know what I mean?
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah.
Someone's gonna have
Eric
it.
Turner,
So
Marino, those guys are going to break that down.
So we take that, and we'll probably see more Brady accolades, because of that one. Because you think about the other touchdown, the Cook touchdown, that was again, you got to think that that's a Brady thing right there. The way Romo broke it down, because everybody still loves to hate Romo, but Romo is at least someone who can go on there and give you something like that. Maybe not to the extent of film buffs, but Romo can still give you that when most other guys can't. And Romo did a really nice job of pointing out the same side motion that Cook went into, and saw that it was man, and then snuck out into the opposite flat for a wide open fucking touchdown. I mean, that's scheme, bro. That's better scheming than we've seen in the first 11 weeks of the season. That's good shit.
It is good.
It was great shit. It was lots of fun. It was lots of fun.
Our good friend Ryan Gallivan.
Ryan's back.
We're going to the Super Bowl, you little
Ryan's
bitches.
on board.
And first, that was
with
after
some little bitches thrown in there.
He wasn't happy that we're not responding to comments. I say it all the time. Most of the people listening are not till the next day. I'm trying to throw these out there. Yeah, I agree about the schemes for sure.
Yo, Ryan, if you're still up in about an hour and a half, man, I'll come by the garage.
James Cook, does he not look like a different player since getting benched? As mad as I was and still kind of am that he got benched for a quarter and a half.
A little bit.
Isn't he running the ball differently? He's hitting that hole much more decisively, I feel like. He's taken on defenders much more physically than he was earlier. There's lots less dancy, prancy shit, and he's hitting the hole hard. He's seeing the field well. He's becoming a weapon again in the passing game. He had the touchdown catch today. He just looks like a different running back for sure to me. And I like Ty Johnson a lot today. That's definitely offensively anyway, certainly the surprise of the game. I kind of feel like, Shakir's play, and God, you'll put it this way. I put this on Facebook during the game too. I don't think you'll ever see a better football throw than that one that Josh Allen made to Khalil Shakir. He was flat-footed. That was a perfect, and I mean perfect football throw. Hard throw to make, man. There's only a couple guys who could do that. He didn't even get to step into it. I'm telling you, do it flat-footed. You don't agree with me?
I don't. You know what?
I'm going to leave Ryan's comment up there for the rest of the podcast, just because he's pissed that we don't respond to people. But
I missed it. I was.
Oh, you didn't see the throw?
I got caught. I got caught in between. I stream it downstairs in the bunker, and it's live upstairs in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of got caught in between. And by the time I got upstairs, Sarah's like, "Did you know that they just scored an 81-yard touchdown?"
I'm telling you, you'll never.
But I did see the replay, but I only got one look.
Yeah, and Shakir made a great play. I mean, he hit him perfectly in stride again, just over or outside the Jets defender, made somebody miss. Bam. To the house.
That was another, not that touchdown, obviously, but that was another example of the motion. Remember when Romo pointed out the motion that Mosley drifted a little bit on the motion, and then Shakir came over the middle after Mosley got drawn a little bit to the motion. I mean, look, these could easily be things that happen inside of a Ken Dorsey game as well. Okay. I mean, they may have been there and just, Josh went the other way with it, or it could be an overreaction.
Can I give some credit to somebody who, it's almost taboo to say his name anymore? I'm talking about Jerry Sullivan, because I thought he had an excellent tweet.
It should not be taboo to say his
okay,
name
well,
anymore.
whether it is or I'm just saying there's some people who feel that way. I don't feel that way, and that's why I'm mentioning him on this podcast. I thought he had an excellent tweet basically before the game, and this was going into the game. He said he liked the Bills' offense today in part because players tend to respond well when a coach gets fired, and the reason why is because the players want to look like it was the coach's fault that got fired and not the players. Don't want to look like it's the player's fault, when an offense is faltering.
It's funny.
It's kind of, I feel like that. I think it's a combination of Brady calling a really good game, a lot of the stuff specifically that you just talked about. But I also think it was an offense that was really fired up, in part at least, because they didn't want to go out there and look like shit and can, be labeled as part of the problem. If the Bills go out and they win this game on today, 13-7, what are we going to be talking about? That it wasn't Dorsey's fault, that it's the players that just don't have it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think there's some credence to that for sure, that the players in part just tend to respond to a new coach because they don't want to look like they were the problem. I thought that was a good point by Jerry.
Yeah. It's funny though, because I believe that that he still is a someone that I take great interest in their opinions. I'm not sure that I agree with that one entirely. No? To me, it's modern athlete diva sort of thing. And I'm not sure that I buy it. I'm not sure that sure. Like I think Sully still says it. Like when Sully called out the offense last year and said that it wasn't looking like a Super Bowl offense. And let's be honest, okay? Not that he didn't really get tied up a few weeks later, or however long after the fact. All right, with some of his gender-based comments, okay, but Jerry Sullivan was in everybody's doghouse because they pissed off fucking their precious fucking
sure.
Great Dane or whatever it is. What do we call Josh? What dog breed do we call Josh? Come on, you're not gonna. It's definitely not a Great Dane. Golden Retriever, our big happy Golden Retriever. I know you fucking see it, but you see it on Twitter because I've seen it 100 times myself. Yes, but Sullivan had the audacity to call out a broken offense, a year ago, and then everybody piled on when he when he said some dumb shit. But I wish he still was as prominent a voice as he was then, because I think that's missing right now. But I'm not sure he got this one right. I think saying that the players elevate because they want to take the accountability off themselves, or it's an opportunity to do that.
Maybe that's not right, but I do think the players, maybe they had a renewed sense of enthusiasm this week under a new coordinator. I'm not taking anything away from Joe Brady. I thought he was outstanding. I agree with everything you said about some of the play calls and the schemes. What if I would have told you before this game that, hey, Stephon Diggs is going to have 4 catches for 27 yards, and Gabe Davis, we'll get to him in a little bit too, it's going to have no catches, no targets.
Why are we getting to Gabe Davis?
Well, because it's going to be a conversation we're talking about. It's going to be a conversation. Maybe, is it worth it? I don't know, because maybe this offense doesn't need a number 2 wide receiver. Sure looked good today, but that's my point. Diggs didn't really do much. Gabe Davis literally did nothing. And you went up and you put up, you scored more points than anyone has scored on the Jets all season long. I do agree with you, though. I do think this defense finally said, what the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck? We're tired of this shit, man. We are tired of this shit.
Like the secure touchdown just reeked of a defense that was just
they kind of folded some of the second half. Some of the runs, the Bills moving the chains, running the ball in the second half. You could just a demoralized unit. Sauce Gardner with a really stupid personal foul penalty on Diggs for sure. I don't know. This was the best game since Miami. What was that, week 4? What do we have now? Week 11. This was the best performance. And again, I don't know how to look at it though, because the defense played great, and we're going to talk about them obviously, but I'm not that impressed because the Jets suck on offense. But that's a good fucking defense that they went out there and just, man, they stymied their defense. I'm early in the game. I was like, here we go again, because the Bills were settling for field goals early on. I'm like, are we going to get over that hump? And they did. I think that Ty Johnson play specifically, that touchdown was huge. It's 16-6 in the third quarter. The Bills got the ball. It's 4th and 2 on the Jets 38. And I said it at the time too. The Bills went for it. I said, you have to go for it. I know Sean McDermott's been playing conservative against shittier offenses, and I understand. But this was the case. I felt like if you don't go for it, you're going to lose your offense. That's how I felt. And it was just a perfect play call. Ty Johnson's wide open. Tight ropes to sideline. Bam. Touchdown. Just I don't know, man. I'm really pleased with this offense, and I'm not going to just say it's 1 week because it's against a good defense. You should be encouraged offensively beyond this game. Tough schedule, obviously.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I am encouraged offensively. I think I feel better about maybe Dallas and the Chargers. You know what I mean? Or the fact that, if we had Denver and New England, I know we do have New England, but if we had a couple of those games or those caliber of opponents, all right, in the back stretch instead of the front stretch, I'd feel better about it. I feel like, I feel like this fucking decision came about 2 weeks too late. What? I mean, just give me the Broncos game. Make the fucking call on Dorsey after New England and get me competent play calling in the Broncos game so that I'm fucking, what would I be right now? I don't know.
7-4. Yeah, it's going to matter. That
you
is
fucking
going
needed to
matter.
go to 7-4. You couldn't have lost to the Broncos. You just couldn't have. You couldn't do it, man. You couldn't do it.
Agreed.
There's reasons we said you couldn't do it.
Does this victory, and we're going to talk after this, we'll talk defense, because the defense, I don't give a shit who they're playing. This defense.
Well, you've mentioned about 4 things that we still have to talk about, and it seems like, you're planning this to go a little long here.
Does this game change your outlook for the Bills in terms of, you said something last week, and it's stuck with me. The Bills might not be one of the 7 teams in the AFC in the playoffs, but nobody's going to tell you that as Chicago scores the Blackhawks. We got the game
scored
on
30 seconds ago, probably, if you're watching fucking live. What the fuck?
And I also forgot what I was talking about.
It doesn't matter. I know exactly what your question
was.
They were, all right.
You know what's going to tell you that they're not one of the best 5 teams or so in the AFC. That's what you said last week. Has that changed at all after this game? At all?
It changed when the week ended in this game. All right. I'm not just going to say this game. Let's not forget we had some big shit. What the fuck is Samuelson doing? It changed when 2 of the contending, the wild card contending quarterbacks went down for the season. Okay. All right. And then it culminated in the win this week. So that's where the optimism, and I told you this, even though I don't like to talk a whole lot before we come in here. I told you what this week felt like is it brought 9 wins into play for a playoff spot. Even with the tiebreaker starting to go against us. Look, if you had 8 losses in the football season, if you're tied with someone else who has 8 losses, chances are their conference record ain't that great either. All right. So what I feel like this week did is the early part of the week brought 9 games back into play, to playoffs, back into play for a 9-game winner. And then today we got, 1 win closer to that 9. I'm still going to try to find a way to get to 10. All right. I'm still going to pretty much talk that way until we get that, maybe 7th loss. And then we have the bye week also. That bye week's going to be a big week in terms of, where we are after Kansas City. When you
get the bye before Kansas City.
What's that?
They got the bye.
That's what that's what I mean. That the bye week in between Philly and KC is going to be a very telling week. Even when it comes to even when the Kansas City week is over, and you know what I mean? Before it, after it, whatever. See, I don't even have the
Ryan Gallivan
the multi. I don't even have the multitasking ability to go to that side of the screen right now. So back to your point though, the week as a whole was one that bred a lot of optimism because of the injuries. And then the win today, and it brought, and to put that into something tangible, more than just optimism. Again, I think it brought 9 wins, back onto the table. I don't know that 9 ever really felt like it was on the table because teams are sitting out there, at 6-3 for the most part, and that's looking like that trajectory is that it's going to take 10-7. And then the quarterbacks go down, who wasn't putting the fucking Bengals in the wild card after they beat us?
Absolutely.
Who wasn't putting the Bengals in the wild card after they beat us?
Sure.
Now they're sitting there with 6 losses and they don't have their quarterback.
I'm not sure about the 9-win thing. I mean, it's possible because the AFC North could just beat up on each other. So it's at least possible. I still think it's going to take 10 wins to get into the playoffs. What has changed optimistically, if you're a Bills fan, that I completely agree with, is Joe Burrow going down for the season. To me, before that injury, it was, all right, let's assume Baltimore wins that division. To me, you had Cincinnati as a lock to make the playoffs as a wild card. And then you got 2 more spots with teams fighting. Now, Cincinnati, all bets are off with them. They're up to 5 losses, and they don't have Burrow for the year. I think Cincinnati's probably done. So now you got Houston. Houston. I almost said, Houston, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. That's 4 fighting for 3 spots. And this is assuming the Bills don't win the division, which that's not out of play. I'm telling you, that's not out of play. But anyway, that's 4. And maybe still the Chargers, although they're maybe 1 more loss away from being toast.
I mean, they're 6. They're at 6 right now. I think I keep putting the Bengals at 1 more loss than I should, because
I think they got 5 losses.
Because they had their bye already, as many teams did. I think last week I wanted to put them at 5 already, and I think this week I just put them at 6. So I keep giving Cincy 1 more loss than they have.
I'm at a point now where I think the Bills could still get to 10, because I think they can run off. We're not even talking about the Miami game in Week 18. The Bills play Miami really well. The Bills are more than capable of beating Miami. Not impressive, by the way, today at all. Miami against the Raiders, but a win is a win. They certainly can beat Miami. They're going to beat New England. They better beat New England. So that's 2. I certainly think they can beat the Chargers on the road, because the Chargers play no defense, even though they're an enigma. That's 3. And I think they can beat Dallas at home. That's 4. And that's assuming they lose to Philly and Kansas City. Season could be on the brink over the next 2 weeks, because they could drop those 2 games.
But
I do think the Bills are
forced to go 4-0. Then be forced to run the table. All of the, if those 4 were maybe spread out a little bit more, I'd feel better. But the 2 losses would force them to run the table. If they could get in your scenario where
and I think it's realistic 10. Though. Would you gladly take a 1-1? I mean, you want to win every game, but even if they could go 1-1 against Philly and Kansas City, I almost would you sign up for that right now before the games are played? I think I would.
Do it either way you like. I need 1-1 over the next 2, or I need 2-2 over the next 4. Mm-hmm. I need either one of those scenarios. I'm good with 500 football over the next 4 games, which then means we have to end the season with wins over New England and Miami.
Be right back, folks. All right, I'm back here with Tone Pucks. We are talking about a big and very obviously much needed Buffalo Bills victory over the New York Jets, 32-6. Again, the most points the Jets have given up all season. Only the second time in the last 11 contests where the Bills have scored more than 27 points against the Jets. Look, we've been talking about offense. We've been talking about optimism and future, big picture stuff. We got to talk about the defense at least a little bit. I don't care who they were playing. They're just a dominant performance by the defense. 6 sacks, 4 turnovers, 3 of them on defense, 1 special teams. The 3 defensive takeaways, the most they've had in a game since Washington all the way back in week 3. The Jets were 0 for 11 on 3rd downs. The whole entire game, you don't convert a single 3rd down. Zach Wilson, 7 of 15 for 81 yards, a touchdown, an interception, 5 sacks, and then he got benched. And then there are 2 superstar players. Breece Hall, 10 carries. He did score a touchdown on a short pass, but that aside, 10 carries, 23 yards. Garrett Wilson, 2 catches for 9 yards. What a fucking mess the Jets offense is. It just shows you could have the best skill position players, but if your line is weak and your quarterback is not good, you got nothing in the NFL. Just Jesus, what a dominating performance there by the defense. You know what? Who do you want to talk about specifically on the defense? Anybody? Let's talk about Leonard Floyd. This was, I've had a lot of bad takes.
Listen, man.
What?
All right. I mean, they played maybe the worst fucking second overall pick in the history of football. He's got no future in this league whatsoever. He's just on his rookie contract still. So he ended up, just kind of being able to be a backup. This fucking kid is just an absolute disaster, and I don't really care to talk about anybody on this defense.
Oh, come on.
Well, I'm sorry, but my God, man. I mean, fucking, you could have fucking jumped the passes that Rasul Douglas jumped today. All right, look, I'm glad the turnovers happened. I'm glad the sacks happened, and I'm hoping we can carry some of that momentum into the weeks to come. But that dude is a bum. All right, none of those sacks happen with a replacement level quarterback, a total middle of the pack quarterback. None of that shit. You have no idea what the stats look like against even a mid halfway competent quarterback today.
I can't
do anything. I can't say anything in praise of the defense. It was so pathetic, the offense. I mean, it's just utterly incapable of producing plus plays at all. I mean, I've never seen an offense that bad. They suck, dude. That kid fucking sucks.
He's not good. I said at the top of the podcast and before the show too, it's like a lose-lose for the Bills defensively. You dominate this team offense or their offense, you're supposed to. If you don't, then it's going to look even worse. Look, at least the Jets are capable of running the football and staying close in games. They beat they beat the Eagles, for Christ. This is the same New York Jets team that beat the Eagles, where the Bills are going to play at next week. This is the same Jets team that should have beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. They should have won that football game. They beat the Bills in week 1. So, I mean, I'm not going to not give any credit to the defense. And again, Leonard Floyd, dude, 2.5 sacks. He's got 9.5 sacks this season already. 9.5. And I've been wrong. I've had a lot of shit takes. God damn, have I had been a lot of shit takes. That ain't one of them, though. I said before the season started, I really liked him. And you kind of blew that off a little bit.
Take it easy.
You were borderline dismissive of it.
No, you're right. I was borderline dismissive of it, but I was also absolutely first to the fucking Von is washed fucking side of it too. So
right. That's a fair trade.
Yeah, I don't want to be right about Von being washed, but Von's washed.
Overall, just this season, what a great pickup Leonard Floyd's been.
Yeah, it's sweet.
9.5 sacks, and there's still seven games left.
No, it's thank God, man. Thank God for it, because I think we're just not getting the return of Miller that we hoped. And we'd probably be in some trouble getting after the quarterback with Rousseau's. This probably is headed down the track of another, we'll call it an injury plagued season, where he doesn't miss any time, but everybody makes excuses for him. So we're headed towards that
today, but yeah.
So and Epinesa here and there. No, the Bills would be in. Their pass rush has been bailed out by the late signing of Floyd,
for sure. You mentioned Rasul Douglas and saying that I could jump somebody else. Maybe you're right, but I'm going to tell you, I had a podcast.
He's a good player. I just don't get me wrong. I was
impressed with him last week.
I'm gonna minimize his results today by virtue of the competition, but great fucking trade. All right, he's a good player, and man, the injury bug, all the more necessary. Thank goodness we have him.
I did 3 bright spots from the Denver game last week, and he was one of them. I thought he played really well. 2 interceptions today, a fumble recovery. He's signed next year for $9 million. So this ain't no rental, man. No, and the way he looks today, that is a lock that he will be back for the Bills. I think the question is going to be, does he get an extension? Maybe he can kind of lower his cap hit for next year. I'm gonna say something that probably.
Well, I wish I wish fucking I was negotiating with you. If you know what I mean. Like, what you think? Beans he made about $3 million today. Rasul Douglas did. I'm not ready to sign an extension on the back of this one. I get it.
Well, you don't want to have a $9 million cap hit though for him next year. You might be able to lower that cap hit for a couple of years. If you
that's an excellent point. If you like him for the future,
I do.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just busting balls that I'm not going to go. Like, obviously he's got a big advantage after what he pulled today. I'm going to need a few more games to kind of find that middle ground in salary. But yes, I'm with you. I think Douglas, the future with him is every bit in play. And I felt that when they made the trade too, when I saw he was under contract for next year, even if they had to just ride out the contract. I'm excited about him. I'm actually I've got some excitement about the Bills secondary as a whole beyond this year. But where were you when you were talking about Douglas just now?
I was in the process of making a point.
Ramping up the defense.
I was in the process of making a point where you completely cut me off. That's where we were. Yeah, man.
Just fucking.
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something that maybe a good chunk of Bills fans might not want to hear, and it's not no diss to him, but Rasul Douglas is better than Trey White. That's my personal opinion. I think, and I'm talking Trey White before the injury, obviously against Miami. Like this year's version of Trey White, who I thought was really good. I think Rasul Douglas is better. I think Rasul Douglas at $9 million next year is a much higher percentage to be on this team, whereas Trey White, because the ball's in the Bills' court when it comes to Rasul Douglas, and that was it when they traded for him. You love the guy, he's already under contract. You don't love him, you could cut him and save $9 million because he's not guaranteed one penny for next season. But look, Christian Benford's cheap. He's still got 2 more years under team control after this season. Rasul Douglas is your other corner. Trey White has had 2 crazy major injuries, and he's got like a $17 million cap hit next year. You're telling me that you can't see a very realistic scenario where the Bills, in part because of financial reasons, a lot because of financial reasons, just say, we got to move on from Trey White. We already got 2 pretty cheap corners. $9 million for a CB1 is not that expensive, by the way.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I think he's better. I think he's a stickier corner. Look, I love Trey, man. I do. I love Trey. I'd love to have both of them next year. It'd be great. But you got Christian Benford, and he's a starter, rookie contract, man. I don't see Trey White back next year. I just don't. Should be talking about it now. I get it, but
there's nothing wrong with talking about the feeling that you get from watching, an obvious replacement for the guy, just in this season alone, coming off of a big game, and I just don't think that the 4 games that we saw Trey in this year were a fair indicator of which way he might be trending. To me, I felt like he was rediscovering his old self a little bit. Now, that could just be the fact that, the Bills played Zach Wilson, fucking Jimmy Garoppolo, and Sam Howell, you know what I mean, for 3 out of the 4 weeks, and Tua in the one that he got injured. I'm not ready to take that leap. I don't think with Douglas. But it does look as though, at the very least, there's no drop off from where we would have been with Trey, and there is plenty of reason for excitement about Douglas coming off of today, and I think there's reason for optimism across the board in the secondary because there are a lot of guys that I think would be candidates, guys currently on the roster in depth roles, be it on the outside corner or in the slot. I think there's guys that might be candidates to replace the 2 aging safeties, right, come next year, man. I mean, I can look, I don't know.
Well, Mike is a free agent.
Mike is a free agent. Did we go 2 with Poyer?
We did go 2. We went with 2. Yeah, so Poyer's under contract next year. But It's a very easy to get out of contract should they decide that they
What
want
is
to go in
it?
another direction. It
Jesus
wouldn't hurt them to go in
Well,
another
I just
direction.
I like the depth. I like the depth
Sure.
of the and the fact that some of them are young enough right now where I think, Benford was talked about as a safety. If he solidifies himself as a starting corner, then I think that's off the table because corners are more important. You know what I mean? But you got Cam Lewis filling a role right now.
Played well today.
In Taron Johnson's spot. I'm not saying that the Bills necessarily want to mess with the success of Taron Johnson, but if things start to happen a little differently where he is not quite as good in coverage as he once was, doesn't Taron Johnson seem like someone who could learn Jordan Poyer's role in the back end
Maybe.
of his contract? Fucking Elam is a guy. I had that thought this week, and I know it's meaningless right now because we actually are healthy back there at safety for the first time in a while.
No.
Both of them are healthy despite the corner injuries. I'm glad to have Hyde and Poyer healthy going into these two games. All right, I'm glad that we have them, but I was kind of and am kind of writing them off in the not too distant future. And during the course of the week, one of the thoughts that crossed my mind was, man, some of that cornerback depth, I think could easily transition, to being safeties in this league. So I want to be the first to that. If that shit happens, I want this clip saved.
You want credit?
All right. If that happens, I want this clip saved because I am predicting that perhaps an in-house corner is a replacement to a starting safety come next year.
Well, to put a wrap on Douglas, let's say this. If the Bills didn't trade for him, we'd be going into the offseason with Christian Benford, a question mark about when and if Trey's even coming back, and then potentially having to rely again on maybe even Kyer Elam. And the Bills, let's assume they don't have big money to spend on a corner in free agency, which I do not think they're going to. So now you got Douglas. So you got Douglas and Benford, worst case. Now you mentioned that, by the way, Christian Benford, there was a lot of talk this offseason and about rumors, flirtation that Benford could play safety. There'll be a scenario. Benford could be the safety and you could have Douglas and Trey White as your corners. So it certainly is on the table. So just Douglas being here.
I wonder if Trey could play free.
I don't know.
I
want to bring up. Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know what the limitations in terms of range, might be with however he comes back, but or if the benefit of the money, you know what I mean? If they were to cut him, if the benefit is just too great, but I'm wondering if something at safety can salvage the back end for Trey.
Possibly. Let me read two comments from someone in Eye of the Moment. His first one was most underrated Bill since Lorenzo Alexander. He was talking about Leonard Floyd. I think that's a pretty good take. And then he also says a question for you guys, hypothetical. If Rodgers plays, we get the W. Do the Bills still get the W? Chicago just scored again? Oh, no, it's highlights. All right. I still think the Bills win this game. First of all, they have to win. They had to win the game. Secondly, that Jets, everything you said about Zach Wilson is true. He fucking sucks, and he's a scrub. But I don't think any quarterback's going to have a lot of success behind that offensive line. I mean, they were really, really, really bad. So.
Look, the few sacks that I saw him take I just saw a kid hold on to the football too long.
Yeah.
That's the few sacks that I saw. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the Bills had pressure all game.
They did.
They certainly ended up in a they certainly ended up in a spot to where they knew they knew they had to throw the football and we could pin our ears back on them. I cannot pass rush in particular. It's difficult for me to heap too much praise.
Then that's
on
fair.
On that side of the ball. The takeaways are tough. Takeaways are tough to get. Sure. So while I might say that you could have jumped the same balls that Russell Douglas jumped, that's bullshit. That's takeaways ain't easy to come by in the NFL.
No, they're
even
not.
under the shittiest of circumstances.
But
man, oh man,
I want to mention one more guy because
Yeah.
you talk about a takeaway. I thought, and I've been really hard on him. I thought Tyrell Dodson had a very good game today. He played well, especially first half, a lot of tackles at the line of scrimmage. And he had, you said, takeaways are hard, and they are hard. He had a really nice hit that led to the fumble that Douglas recovered and was like this close to being a touchdown because he lateraled it to Micah Hyde, who would have scored. I thought Tyrell Dodson played fantastic today. And I mean, it goes without saying, he's going to have to. This whole defense is going to have to step up because you're not seeing until weeks, 17 to New Year's Eve, you're done with the Zach Wilsons of the world. Now you're playing the big boys. You got Jalen Hurts, you got Mahomes, you got Dak Prescott, you got Justin Herbert, you got Tua. So you better come to play, man. A couple things that annoyed from this game, and it's hard to find a lot of critical things. You fucking won the game 32-6. By the way, Ryan Galvin has set a record for complaining the most about putting comments up on this live stream. Special teams. I am real. Are you watching this? What are you doing here?
What's that?
What are we doing here?
I'm multitasking.
Sabres scored?
No. I'm
It's
thinking
2-2.
about.
I missed the second goal.
You missed we had the 2-1 lead when Chicago
Who scored the second goal?
Skinner.
Yeah. All right. Listen, special teams for the Bills. If there's one thing about this entire game that pissed me off, and it's not that the game was ever in doubt, because I think it was pretty obvious early on the Bills weren't losing on this day. Fucking special teams again. So the Bills are up. It's 16-0. 2 minutes left in the half. They had the Jets pin on their own. It was like 24-yard line, 4th and 2. And the Jets, ballsy call, credit to them. But they execute a successful fake punt. Then they go down the field, and they ultimately score a touchdown. And instead of it being at worst 16-0, maybe 19 or even 23-0 at the half, it's 16-6 going in the locker room. You kind of lost a lot of those good feeling vibes that, the Bills racked up for 28 minutes of the first half. Matthew Smiley, he deserves to get fired. I'm fucking over it. Dude, the special teams, no one in the world puts more resources into the special teams than the Buffalo fucking Bills. Am I wrong?
Look,
do they not?
All right.
This has been a problem all season.
I'm fine with the point that the Bills sink a disproportionate amount of money into special teams, and it's kind of goofy. All right. I'm fine with that point. I'm also fine with the point that the special teams isn't good. I don't know.
What do you mean maybe? They're terrible.
All right, then they're terrible. What I'm certain of is this. All right. In a season where he caught all kinds of shit for firing his offensive coordinator, and nobody wants to or he's not taking any accountability. People want to say that he's not taking any accountability. The last thing this motherfucker is going to do is turn around and fire a special teams coordinator in the same year. So it's not even up for discussion with me.
He deserves it.
It's not even up for discussion with me. Well, maybe if there wasn't already one sacrificial lamb, it's worth addressing, but it ain't happening. So fucking Guy Smiley is going to be your fucking defensive or special teams coordinator. All right. From now until the end of the year, Guy Smiley. I'm never gonna get it. Never. You remember Guy Smiley?
No, I don't.
Sesame Street, motherfucker.
Oh, okay. Yo, it just dawned on me last week.
Little lamb.
It just dawned on me last week. You were on the show on Monday, and the Bills played on Monday night, so we did a kind of a preview.
Oh, we never even talked about Dorsey.
We didn't do.
Oh, good, another hour.
No, we're not. That's not happening. That's not happening.
Come on.
But had you been on for the post game, I'm telling you, I would have lost. I did lose my shit. We might have been fighting if you would have blamed. You just talked about, what have you talked about? Getting the 9 wins, 10 wins.
Yeah.
You could talk about how bad Josh Allen was on Monday. You could talk about how bad Ken Dorsey, if that's where people want to go with it, how bad he was, how the defense played well, but they couldn't close the game out yet again at the end. Denver scored on their last 2 possessions, long drives to win the game. But at the end of the day, all the shit that the Bills did wrong, the game is fucking over if you don't have 12 guys on the field. After using 2 timeouts, they couldn't communicate to make sure, and it was Leonard Floyd who was the 12th guy who never came off. 5 guys came off, 6 went on. Leonard Floyd did not know, never came off the field, and the Bills had no timeouts. You had not one timeout, but 2 timeouts. So whether it was McDermott, Smiley, or both, How do you not communicate to every guy who's out there for that third down play? Get off the fucking field. The Bills literally lost to the Denver Broncos, quite literally, and no other reason because of special teams. That's it. That's it. If he's off the field, everything that happened in the first 59 and a half minutes doesn't mean shit because the Bills still found a way to win. They lost because of special teams. That's it. And this has been a problem all year. The Jets game, overtime, first game of the season, punt return touchdown. Special teams has been fucking disastrous. Not Reggie Gilliam today, though, because he set the tone on the first play of the game. Bucket smacked Gibson, fumble, Bills get it, 3-0, just like that. But special teams has been a disaster. I agree he's not getting fired, but he deserves to get fired.
Maybe.
No.
I think the accountability for last week's end of game debacle, I think that's a shared accountability. I think the player, and both coaches have to take some there. I just
say it in all cases though.
You can, but this one was really, really weird, man. This one was just really, really weird. I mean, what does Smiley do differently? I don't know. If you're going one for
you
one,
make sure all 11 guys.
Are you making sure that that six
Linval Joseph got off the field? He weighs 10,000 pounds, and he's new to the team, and he knew to get off the field.
I know. It was a tough. It was.
I hate reliving it, but my point was special teams has just been a big problem for the Bills.
I'd like to make a point on that one though that I never got a chance to make. People out there talking like you knew what Denver was doing. I think you're one of them. I think you've said that. I think like there are people that are like, you knew Denver was just doing this and this. You needed to be ready. Bullshit.
They took a kneel. They kneeled down 3 times.
And every time they did it, it was stupider than the time before. I couldn't believe they were.
I couldn't either, but that's what they were doing.
I thought
they had no timeouts.
Yeah, I don't know. Right up until the last kneel, dude, I thought they were still gonna try to gain yards.
You know what?
Right up until the last kneel, I felt like they were still trying to gain yards.
You know what ended up happening?
I couldn't believe they tried to do a fight. They did a fire drill, and all it had to catch was one guy off guard, and that's what happened.
Look, you know what ended up happening too. At the end of the first half of the Denver game, Denver kicked a field goal as time was expiring on the fly too, and the defense stayed out for that. And this time at the end of the game, they called special teams field goal block. Now, Sean McDermott on that third down, AJ Epinesa and Shaq Lawson were the ends, and Greg Rizzo, they should have been out on third down too. Then you wouldn't have had to get Leonard Floyd off because he wouldn't have even been on the field to begin with. Anyway, I don't reliving that shit is pointless other than the fact to say that the special teams has just been a huge fucking problem all season long. And it was today. The sore spot of the Bills today was that fake punt. It's literally maybe the only thing the Jets stayed good the whole goddamn game was that fake punt and subsequent drive that followed it. That was it for the day. You mentioned Von Miller too. I got a really small list of annoying shit from that game. Von Miller, he's just at what point do you say him being on the field gives the Bills defense a lesser chance to succeed because he's just not doing anything. He's running 20 yards past the quarterback. I noticed like 4 times today. Just runs past the quarterback. He dropped into coverage at least once. It's like, what are we doing here? Because every time he's on the field, that means that AJ Epinesa, Rizzo, or Shaq Lawson, even Jonathan King or Kingsley Jonathan at this point, someone that should be on the field to me at this point that's just better than him. But he's your big ticket guy and you're paying him a fuckload of money and he ain't going nowhere this year or next year. But to me, I'm almost at the point where it's like, well, let's worry about next year with him. Get him right during the offseason. Get him in blowouts and let him get his reps. I don't know because he's just not doing anything. 0. He's given the Bills 0. What, 7 games now? He's done nothing. Nothing.
I got nothing. I don't know what to do in that spot. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. I think he still has, a voice in the room, and he keeps, and
he's on the podium every week, every Wednesday.
Keeps telling these coaches that it's coming. You know what I mean? But
he hasn't even been. I take that back.
Snap count
almost had a sack one time this year.
His snap count will dictate that. I don't think he ever sees the bench. It just comes down to.
But is he hurting the team by being out there? If he's out there 25 snaps a game, Isn't that hurting the team if he's not doing anything? He's the Gabe Davis of the Bills fucking defense right now, man.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe his name, his presence out there, maybe that matters.
Look, bro,
maybe
you see it all over the place.
Maybe he's getting double teams and commanding attention that's helping other players. That's the best thing I could come up with.
Sometimes we just don't know, right? I mean, we've got a hockey team here that there's a bunch of smart people out there who can't figure out why Eric Johnson, all right, doesn't sit down and for how much he's lost in a step. And we see it all the time. We just you see it all the time where coaches side with a player for one reason or another, keeping that player in the lineup that leaves a lot, it's fan base scratching their heads. And I don't know that we're to the point of scratching our heads on Von Miller quite yet. I don't know that you're saying you're totally scratching your head on why he's out there, but you are, saying that, that you could eventually get there. And if he doesn't progress at all, then it is a bit of a head scratcher why on game days he's out there.
I want to read a comment from Buffalo Davis. I think this is a good point. He says, where has Rizzo been? Well, to what I'm talking about, you see in a lot of third down and obvious pass situations, you're seeing Von Miller out there with Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd obviously needs to be out there. He's been their best pass rusher. He's taken snaps away from guys like Rizzo. Rizzo had a sack too, by the way. He had the first sack of the game for the Bills today. So that's kind of my point. To some extent, Von Miller being out there, every pass rush he's out there is a pass rush that Greg Rizzo's not. And I think Greg Rizzo's just a better football player right now than Von Miller. So I don't know. I guess we'll see, because now they're playing really good teams coming up. And if Von's got anything left, now's definitely the time to see him. Last point, I did mention Gabe Davis here. 0 catches, 0 targets. It's one thing to not have a catch. It's another thing to play 60 minutes. And he probably played almost every snap, maybe to the end of the game when they were just pounding the ball, kind of running the clock out. But I don't know how to feel about this, because on one hand, this is your wide receiver 2. He's had 3 games now. He had 0 catch or 1 catch or 0 catches, 9 catches against Tampa, 1 catch and 0 catches. He's last 3 games, not counting Tampa, he's got 1 catch combined in 3 games. Today, not even a target, but the offense was efficient, man. They utilized the running backs in the passing game a lot. Dalton Kincaid had 6 catches. I think he had 5 in the first half. You obviously got Stephon Diggs. Shakir's becoming a bigger part of this offense. I don't know if I should be mad that Gabe Davis ain't doing shit. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I know it's going to be a big talking point, though, this week. I guarantee you that. Like,
not if
there's a negative
win,
stuff.
Not after a win, right?
People, how Gabe Davis, that's a hot topic discussion.
It is. Well, look, I think one of the things that we've learned a little bit about over the course of the past few years, a lot of Bills Twitter.
Somebody said, yeah, Diggs and Davis, Leanne King. Yeah, Diggs and Davis ruined my fantasy team this week. A lot of things ruined my fantasy team this week. But anyway, go ahead.
What were we talking about?
You went almost a full hour before that. Last week, I think you were like 4 or 5 times into what are we talking about at this point of the podcast. Talking about Gabe Davis, just no involvement, no involvement in the offense, literally whatsoever.
I don't think it's going to be a huge talking point in a win week. But what I do think, and I remember now, what I feel like we've learned a little bit, about the past few years is separation, right? I mean, we've been able to pay attention to separation beyond the eye test over the course of the past few years, and we've questioned, not us, but not me, anyways. I'm not good in that, vernacular, but we've seen it questioned. The Bills' overall, route separation. And we talk a lot about it as it relates to offensive coordinators, but we know, right, that it also relates to the player's ability to create that separation. And at the end of the day, man, all right, inside the box, other than, a lot of, fire drill, we've seen Gabe do great in fire drill. And obviously when he can stretch the field, with cover one, But that's where it coincides with the two shell safeties, right? Everybody started playing those two shell safeties, and we started to really see Gabe Davis's production drop. And you don't get the separation, from 15 and in from him. That just seems to be, in terms of maybe it's his frame, maybe it's just, he doesn't move. He doesn't have the fluidity in the hips, whatever it is that makes good route runners gain separation.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a strength of Gabe Davis's. All right.
No.
And I think we have seen enough, examples of it now to know that, that we would probably be overpaying for his potential in the next contract.
Not happening.
And we're not doing it. But that's, I kind of talked I started by talking about separation. And then the part about the two high safeties, I stumbled into that along the way. And that really does coincide with it, man. Ever since teams started to go too high across the NFL against the
Sabres score,
against the stud quarterbacks, you know what I mean?
Yeah, good enough. I'm not taking it away from your take. It's a great take.
Hey, fucking right. It was Ryan Johnson.
Eric Johnson.
Yeah, him. Yeah, no, Ryan's the good one, right?
Yeah,
everybody
Ryan's
wants to play.
Eric Johnson scores. Nice play, too. Man. Sabres up 3-2. No, look, I agree with what you said.
Go Sabre!
What you said about Gabe. Yeah, Gabe's, look, hopefully he'll give them something. At some point, they're going to need him, you know what I mean? For whatever reason, he gets open and nobody pays attention. Maybe he'll have that 100-yard, 4-catch, 100-yard and a touchdown game in a game that they're going to have to win, obviously. But it's frustrating that he's doing nothing on an individual aspect, but from a team offensive aspect, I don't give a shit who produces if they look like they did against the Jets, which for the last time we could talk, and you don't want to praise give the defense any praise.
It's not entirely true.
Well, mostly, and it's not wrong because their offense is fucking atrocious, but their defense, for every bit as atrocious as the Jets offense is, their defense is that good. And the Bills offense looked really good against them. And by the way, one last thing, I lied. Deonte Harty, just the world's most expensive punt returner. I'm off that train on him. 1 carry, -2 yards. I tried to be a Deonte Harty guy. It's not working with him. So I'm sure he'll be a cut this offseason. Did you watch?
Hold on. I want to say something. Because when you said Harty, it made me think of it. That I missed on it with Gabe too, because this thought did cross my head with Gabe, but I think it was right around the time Johnson scored. Give Brady a couple weeks just to see if guys like Gabe and Harty can get brought into the,
that's fair.
Can get brought into the fold. I'm not optimistic, but you can only do so much at a time. I don't think he had much of a chance to do much of anything other than just prepare for the Jets today. But in doing so, he was able to put his stamp on it a little bit with Ty Johnson, able to get Kincaid in space in the middle, get the motion going, those sort of things. So, if we're optimistic, if Brady makes us optimistic, then we should at least hold out hope that some of the other, lesser performing or underperforming pieces of the offense could eventually find their way back in, whether it's Gabe or Harty, who knows? Or maybe it's just, finding more ways to get Shakir the ball. Maybe it's not Harty at all, which would be fine. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Maybe Shakir just is because of his fit in the middle of the field against other team schemes, and finding holes in defensive second levels. Maybe Shakir just is better at doing that than Gabe Davis is at beating a CB2, at separating from a CB2. And then that might just be the case. And Gabe Davis is still going to have the name recognition to get himself paid this offseason. And Gabe Davis was a lot of fucking fun in a lot of ball games, man. I don't care, I ain't gonna be a Gabe Davis hater, even if he,
Me neither.
even if he just, even if it just fizzles out over this, the remainder of likely short remainder of his Bills career. I ain't gonna hate on Gabe Davis, man.
No.
It is what it is. Team started to play that, that too high shell. His post route was taken away, and it's been a real struggle to find ways to get him the football.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to hit on Gabe Davis either, although that drop that he had in that Denver game was a terrible drop that led to an interception. But yeah, look, I'm not going to hit on him either. The only thing that's changed with me with Gabe Davis is I'm fully confident that he's going to go be playing somewhere else next year because he's going to get a contract. And I just don't think the Bills have the money or the desire to pay a wide receiver to that much money. You get Justin Shorter to go out there off IR and play next year and do what he's doing right now, basically.
I think we all think
last point too with Brady. I think the best thing he did this whole week was I think he went back to the Jets game and said, this is not going to happen. I'm talking about the opening game, first week one. He's like, this shit ain't going to happen again. We're not going to lose because we turned the ball over 4 times. Even the biggest plays of the day today that worked. And this is no one, I'm not criticizing. I think this was actually brilliant, but like the touchdown to Ty Johnson for 28 yards. What was that? 2 yards in the air. The touchdown to Shakir that went for 81 yards. That was a 15-yard pass. He was not going to force the ball down the field. And I think that was part of Brady's game plan, throwing to the tight end. Kincaid didn't really do shit in the week one, nor did Dawson Knox. I just think using the running backs and the tight end and the short passes to Diggs, every pass to Diggs was probably 10 yards, maybe or less in the air. Some people will call it dink and dunk. When you're playing the Jets, I think that's effective because when their offense is that bad, all you got to do is not turn the ball over. This would have been the outcome in week one if Josh doesn't throw 3 interceptions, right?
Probably. It's 2 well-designed touchdown plays today to 2 different running backs.
Yeah,
man,
I love it, man.
That is not something I think we expected.
Not Ty Johnson, and again, I'm not even being.
Not Ty Johnson's right.
I was disrespectful to him. I was.
You were totally fucking disrespectful.
Absolutely, I was. Johnson. I was not happy that Leonard Fournette in the Hunt Lenny, as you called him a couple weeks ago. I thought for sure this was 100% going to be the week where he got elevated, and I was kind of annoyed that he wasn't. Did you watch games today before the Bills game?
How the fuck don't they score there?
Yes,
I did.
Was it? And this is a product of this team being where they're at. Annoying because I'm sitting here invested in the fucking Arizona Cardinals and in the Vegas Raiders to try to beat Miami in Houston. CJ Stroud played like shit actually today. He throws 3 picks. Arizona still couldn't win that game. This is the position that we're in though right now, where we got to watch the scoreboard and it matters. It's a product of the Bills coming into this game at 5-5, but I guess this is the way it's going to be all year long or for the rest of the season now, scoreboard watching. It was very frustrating, those 1 p.m. games. Before we get out of here, I mean, we're watching the Sabres game. And again, most people aren't even listening to this on Monday.
Sucks.
Power play sucked all year.
God, is this? No, that's what I mean. I mean, across the board, this power play is anemic, man.
Did you get a chance to listen to my episode with Chad on Thursday?
Well, let me tell you what happened there. All right. I woke up. I was excited because I was like, Chad's a good get for this time of year, especially the Sabre. Things aren't perfect in Saberland. He's got really strong takes. I wanted to type in. While you were live with them and type in, what a great guest. Too bad you're the complete wrong person, to interview him. Right. But anyway, so I got up on Friday and I saw him talking about the cane surgery. I saw the clip that you had.
Yeah.
And I commented on it jokingly. I was like, man, did he make it out of there alive?
He whispered it. We were at Imperial in South Buffalo for people who are wondering what the hell we're talking about here. That's Pat Kane country.
Neither one of you took the time to even acknowledge the fact that I commented. Not, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like
I didn't give you a like.
It wasn't funny or necessarily or anything, but I mean, I felt a little high-handed, so I was done. I didn't listen. I didn't
Well, you don't
listen to
have that.
anything
You don't
after
pay.
that.
You don't pay for Twitter Blue, man. Maybe Chad never even saw your comment, man. That shit just get buried.
How does it work?
I don't know. I mean, I pay for it. I have to. I mean, I'm a content creator. It's not really an option. If you're serious about being a content creator, it sucks, but you got to pay the piper.
But I don't want to be a content. How would someone not see me just because I'm not
guess
Twitter Blue?
By being a premium member, whatever the hell it's called, basically whatever it is that you pay, whatever it's called, you're mentioned when you comment on somebody's status, it's up at the beginning of that person's tweet, like their mentions, I guess, or something.
Yeah,
that's what I heard anyway. But again, I do it because of
I was hurt.
Video clips. Well, I apologize that you were hurt. I'll tell you one thing Chad managed to do.
Talk you out of Pat Kane?
He did.
Did he really?
Yes, he did. I take a lot of pride in being open-minded when I have conversations with people, whether about sports or whether it's about life. Like, I like to be open-minded to say, so I'm at least you have the ability potentially to convince me to get off of my take or my thought and change it. And I certainly trust Chad as a hockey mind a hell of a lot more than myself.
One of your rare good qualities.
Some people are just so stubborn. They draw a line in the sand, and you're not going to get talked off. This is
Sean McDermott. Anybody? Sean McDermott. Anybody?
I think Sean McDermott sucks.
Stubborn as a no. I'm saying stubborn as a motherfucker. I believe that's his. I think that's his.
He gets a
reprieve.
Type. He gets a reprieve this week. I got him. There were buzzes today on Sunday morning. I don't know if you heard any, but maybe Mike Florio.
Did you see a couple of people though that decent people that put out that was Ken Dorsey's people working overtime to take, going to shit on Dorsey a little, or shit on McDermott a little bit. That some of that McDermott on the hot seat buzz
was created by Dorsey's people.
Yeah. I saw that one or two places by decent, people will usually have decent takes. But you're giving you're giving him a 1 week reprieve for today.
I'm giving him. I'm not giving him a reprieve.
Troops.
I'm just no. I don't.
How many fucking weeks are we gonna wear the brown? By the way, are we just honoring the military for the rest of the year? Are we just wearing brown for the rest of the year? Have we just replaced we go from a week of pink, breast cancer where you're down to a week? Military folks, you're up to a month. Is that what's going on?
No, and by reprieve from McDermott, my stance hasn't changed on him whatsoever. I think he's not the right coach for this job. I think he's a builder. I think you send him to a team that's starting over, and he will build you a team. I think the Bills went as far as they're going to go with Sean McDermott. What I disagree with, though, is everyone who's saying he's going to get fired, because he ain't getting fired. It's not happening, man. Dude, he just got an extension to 2027.
Yeah, no, I'm with
and they've had 4 straight seasons of 10 wins. They've been in the playoffs 5 or 6 years. Even if they fucking lose out, Terry Pegula's not going to. The only way Pegula might fire him, and I think you might have mentioned this before, is if maybe Josh Allen personally goes up to Pegula and says, I can't win with this guy.
I would never. I didn't have that take. I mean, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that Allen has that sort of, has that power in the organization.
Anything to add about the Sabres before we bounce here? Anything to add about the Sabres other than they're not playing well and they're not scoring? They're up 3-2 here. Again, live on the video side. People won't be listening to this until after the game's over on Monday, but they've lost 4 of the last 5 and they've only scored 9 goals. The power play is absolutely atrocious. What really more is there to add? I mean, Tage is out for 4 to 6 weeks, likely.
Super frustrating, man. It's hard to figure out. A lot of these guys that are close, for some reason they're not ready. They're not ready to go to them. And you got some guys that are in the twilight right now that really seem to be part of the problem. I don't know, man.
My personal
it looks like we might have jumped the gun. It looks like we might have jumped the gun. I mean, at the end of the day, man, they're not their bet. Their betting odds. Their betting odds was more in the 90-point range, even money playoff range. But some of the nerdier statistics had them at 84 points, and it's starting that way for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're not. It's November.
Sure,
they're like maybe 4 points out of a wild card right now, but they're like 2 or 3 points from being dead bottom of the whole entire conference. That's how top to bottom I think good this conference is. Only personnel thing that's kind of really got into me a little bit is Kulik not playing or not being up. I'd like to get a look at them. Even this game against Chicago that we're watching right now, they're playing 11-7 again, and I hate that. I hate 11-7. Just if Eric Johnson is not good enough to, you got to manage his minutes. Just manage it in the press box for every other game or whatever it may be. Ditto for Okposo as well. It's just, I don't know, whatever. I'm out of shit to talk about, by the way. I got nothing else that I want to talk about. Do you?
No, I know.
All right. Well, then that's going to do it for this episode. A big win for the Bills because it was a necessary win, and every win now is obviously big because the Bills need every single one of them. I got Joe Yurden coming on the show tomorrow. What week are we in here? I don't remember.
Look at that empty net. Well, I feel like we owe it to the audience. Why don't we finish this up like live streaming the Sabres?
All right, we're going to stay on the air. We'll keep talking and bullshitting.
Empty net down at the Chicago end. He put him offside.
Cousins. Come on, Cousins.
Cousins out there looking like Tommy Mangione, fucking with that full face shield.
What's the line? Do you have any indication of what the line is for the Philly game?
I don't. I'm gonna take a
look that up right
now.
Now,
though.
While we're
take
talking,
a shot at it while we're watching this. Here. We're down to a minute and a half in the Sabres game.
I think Philly.
Here's a chance. Here's a chance at the open net.
I think the Bills are going to be. They should be. Before you say it, once you find it, I think the Bills should be 4 to 4.5 point underdogs.
Right where I was, 100%.
4 to 4.5. That's what it would be if I were setting the lines. I feel. I know I'm throughout this week. I'm going to get
wait a minute.
We're never going to sense of optimism.
We're never going to get that line. Well, maybe.
Why not?
Well, because Philly hasn't played yet. So
there's still no line. Like if I wanted to bet right now on one of my apps for next week's Bills game, there's not even a line that I can go bet on it right now at this moment.
I think some have it, some won't. I think at this point. Maybe I'm wrong though. Let's see if
I'd find that hard to believe.
It's out there already.
I think today's result might. Well, it's a long way away.
Field goal.
It's a field goal, 3 points. The Bills are only +3.
Fucking.
Are you going to be in that pound Eagles mode?
Yeah, how can that be?
Not as strong as the Eagles or the Cincy game. Are you as confident in Philly betting pounding them as you were when the Bills played Cincinnati a couple weeks ago?
I'm not. So yeah, that's that. I guess that would speak to my optimism after just 1 week. I like the way the offense fucking looked today. All right, and I like our chances better in the next couple weeks. We're down to under 10 seconds here in the Sabre game.
Good play by
really
Samuelson.
Need these 2 points, even though they're useless.
Oh, that's it. Sabres win. All right. Bills win. Sabres win. Perfect.
What a Buffalo weekend.
I'll be back, Joe Yurden, tomorrow. Talk to you later, folks.